Week 25, let's go over the 8 books I have started. I always have so many books started, but I read them at different times and for different reasons. So let's jump into the 8 books. We're gonna start with the book that just recently got added to my currently reading, and that was Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood. This is an adult romance, and this is the second in the Not in Love series. I would definitely recommend reading Not in Love first, just because in this book, we are at the marriage of Rue and Eli, who were our characters in that book, and they have a wonderful group of friends, but that is a lot of people just kind of be thrown into. The romance in this book is Maya, which is Eli's younger sister, and Connor, his best friend. And there is a 15-year age gap, which I don't love age gaps. It's working to convince me, but it's not there yet. About 36% of the way through, but they really got to know each other 3 years ago, and we know it was just cut off suddenly. We don't know why it was cut off suddenly, and we're unraveling why that happened in this book. An audiobook I'm listening to is Fate Be Changed by Farrah Rochan. This is a twisted tale where we're taking Brave, who was our Princess Merida. She wanted to be independent and gets really mad at her mom and gets a potion from a witch. In the movie, she gives the potion to her mom, and her mom turns into a bear. They have to figure out how to keep her mom safe and then turn her back. In the book, however, the twist is Merida takes the potion. While it doesn't change Merida into a bear, it actually takes her back into time to when her mom and dad meet. And so we're talking about the history of the clans and who her mom was. She does mess up their meeting, and so she has to figure out how to fix that. And I'm 72% of the way through. The second audiobook I'm listening to is Raising Girls Who Like Themselves. I'm 65% of the way through, but I'm just taking it in small chunks, which is why I have 2 audiobooks going. But I'm really enjoying this book. I got it recommended it by a friend who has daughters, and it's really not only showing me about my parenting, but how I grew up and some things that explain the way that I am. And that's not saying that my parents did a bad job or anything. It's just how they parented affected me. Now that I know how it affected me, plus just some other research in life, I can parent my daughters a little bit differently. And I've been encouraged because they have some like quizzes to see like where your daughter is at liking herself and in these different categories. And my daughters definitely have their opinions, and been very pleasantly surprised by their answers because I wasn't sure where they were gonna land up. I started a physical book, and that is Trouble with Texas Cowboys by Carolyn Brown. This is the second book in the Burnt Boot Texas series. I read the first book last year, and I found out the library near me has all of them, and so I checked this out. I probably should have finished another series or 2 before I jumped into this, because this series and another series are getting all mixed up in my head now. But I'm gonna finish this, probably go back to the other Cowboy series, finish that, and then jump back into the Burnt Boot. But I got 100 pages into this. A book I read during my devotional time is When Godly People Do Ungodly Things by Beth Moore. It is a longer chapter format, which I really enjoy. I also had a really hard summer last year, and this book has been really encouraging and connecting some dots that need to be connected, and I've just been really enjoying it. I am 28% of the way through. A book I think I'm gonna read this week, depending on when I finish Problematic Summer Romance, is Leaf of Faith by Bouchard. This is one of the 25 books I wanna read in 2025, and for June I wanted to read 3, and I've read 1. So this next week I really need to read 2 of them. I got 7% into this book and decided to just pause it and read a different book. So I think this week will be the week that I jump back into that book. We will see. And the last 2 books that I am reading are books that will take me all year, just slowly making progress through them. The first one is the Gratitude Journal. There's 365 prompts. I calculated last week that I am 21% of the way through, so I definitely have missed some dates. The other book that I'm reading is the Bible. I have a plan that I will read it by the end of the year, and so I am 47% of the way through that. I think I had like 3 maybe missing days at the beginning of today. And yeah, those are the 8 books that I have started. I will keep you updated throughout the week because I have series to finish. I have 2 books off the 25 books I want to read for 2025 to work on, because the end of the month, I believe, is next Monday. So this is the week that those goals need to be worked on if I want to accomplish them by the end of June. I'm gonna read outside for a few minutes before it starts to rain. It looks so dark, but it's like 3:30 in the afternoon, so we'll see if the rain can hold out. My kids are also playing outside, and yes, we'll see. We'll see how long. I gotta put these guineas up too. I don't think I've talked about them, but we have guineas to eat all the ticks that have been around our house, and they love me. They follow me around. They will not leave this area while I'm here reading. Anyways, I am on page 153. I will check in when the rain starts or I go inside. I only got to page 155 because I have children and it's starting to sprinkle, so I'm gonna get the guineas inside. I finished Fate Be Changed by Farrah Rochan, so let's talk about it. I feel like I gave you a pretty good synopsis when I introduced the books I was reading, but it is a retelling of the Disney movie Brave, where Princess Merida and her mom don't get along and she goes to get a potion. In the movie, she gives her mom the potion and her mom turns into a bear and they have to figure out how to keep her safe as well as turn her back into a human. In this book, however, Merida ends up taking the potion and it takes her back into time when her mom and dad meet because they were from different clans. And in the movie and in the book, you hear the importance of their parents meeting and her dad's role in keeping the clan safe. And so she messes up that meeting. So she has to fix that. She's learning about her mom and then ultimately she has to figure out how she's going to get back. I will say the end result of the book and the movie are very similar. In these twisted tales, there's definitely been some twists that I enjoy. And it seems to be the movies that I like a lot. It translates into the books for the most part. And this one was not the case. I don't dislike Brave by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely not one of my favorites, but I really liked this twisted tale. I think I already said by listening to this on audiobook and gave it 4 stars. I finished Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood this morning and I still don't know what to rate it. I enjoyed this book. It is the second book in the Not in Love series. I would highly recommend reading the Not in Love book, which is Rue and Eli's romance, because in this book they are doing a destination wedding, and so all of the friends you met in the first book come to this destination and have like a bachelorette type trip before the wedding, and then things go terribly wrong. But our romance is Eli's younger sister Maya and Eli's best friend Connor. So it's a brother's best friend. However, there is a 15-year age gap, and I'll be the first to admit I don't love huge age gaps. It takes me a bit. And then in this book specifically, that is a point of contention. That is the reason Connor gives that he does not want to be in a relationship with Maya. And Maya's like, it's just a number, it doesn't matter. Like, they were adults when things started happening. But in this book, it just kept being brought up over and over again. And so I really enjoyed the reading of this book. I just didn't feel like I was rooting for the couple. Like, I liked Maya and Connor individually, but I didn't necessarily care if they ended up together. I don't know, like, it's very weird. So as a romance book, I feel like the rating should be low, but as like an enjoyable book, it could be high. I'm very, very torn on what to do. I'm really torn between a 3.5 and a 4, and I don't know where I'm gonna land. In other news, I thought I would update you on my reading. Sorry, I have so many things charging. Because I finished Problematic Summer Romance, I started Leaf of Faith, which is one of the 25 books I'm gonna read in 2025. It was already downloaded on my Kindle. We were at gymnastics, so I was like, perfect. I got 20% in, so I read 13%. I did not start over from the beginning. I started reading and I remembered all the things that were happening, so I didn't feel the need to start over. And yes, it is supposed to be a witchy mystery, so I'm really curious to see how it goes. I think there's like 9 books in this series or something, so unfortunately this will be another series added, but it will also be a book off the 25 books I want to read in 2025. So I want to read Leaf of Faith, and then I want to read the last book in the Reynolds Restoration series, and then the last book for 2025. But I have some library loans that I think I can get those 3 books done before I have to start reading the library loan, but we shall see. With that, my physical book, which I thought was over here, but maybe not, has not gotten touched, just because I have series to finish, library loans coming, and the 25 books I'm gonna read in 2025, and this book I can renew for a little bit longer. So that's kind of where I'm at on my reading. I'm slowly working through, what is it called? It's the 6th book in the Outlander series. It has a snowflake on it, A Breath of Snow and Ashes, and I think I'm about 20-something% done with it. It's on my phone, so I can't check, but that is the audiobook I'm listening to. It is like 56 hours long, so it's gonna take me a hot second. I'm hoping to have that one done by the end of the month, but we shall see. Today's Wednesday, and yesterday and today were really busy days. There is a family situation that I don't know what my Thursday's really gonna look like yet. I know we have swim lessons, but that's it. And then Friday, we don't have any plans at this moment. And I just feel like we've been going that I don't want to make plans, but again, with that family situation, what makes sense and what needs to be done. So I might have some extra time to read if we just like stay home and play outside, but we might end up going swimming, and they're an age where they can kind of swim by themselves, but I still have to be in the water, so I can't like listen to my audiobook or read a book yet. I got to about 30-ish% in the snow. Outlander 6 about the snow. I just know it's white and has the snow. I can't remember what it's called, but I got to a little over 30% of that. I am also 54% into Leap of Faith, which I'm really excited about. It's one of my 25 books I want to read in 2025. I want to finish this today. This book is not super long. And then I want to read the last Reynolds Restoration book, which I think is kind of long because I think I need one more series to finish. And that's the only series. I think I only have one book left that I like have the book available. Yeah. And then I need to find another 25 books I want to read in 2025. So that's the goal for the next couple days. My audiobook, because it is a super, super long audiobook. That's going to take me so long to finish. Like my goal was to do 15% a day, and that has not happened any day. I finished Leap of Faith. I'll take off my glasses. You're going to have to deal with my hair though, because it is all oiled up. Now my dogs are barking. I just wanted to share that I finished Leap of Faith by Lisa Bouchard last night. It was one of the 25 books I want to read in 2025. I started at the end of May, got 7% in, and just kind of paused it. This book was exactly what I told you, a witchy mystery where she very much is like the Finley Donovan. She kind of gets thrown into the situation of this mystery and is forced to solve it because it involves her boss and the members of her family. And they set it up really nicely for the rest of the series. But her and her cousins are really fun. She has a family that love her so much. So that reminded me a little bit of the Stephanie Plum series where her family just loves her and wants her to be with them, but she does not, and wants her freedom. So I thought that was a really fun book, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. I forgot to mention, I started another book on the 25 books I want to read in 2025. I found a really short one. It's like 100 pages. It's called The Blandford Fly and Other Tales by DN Moore, and it is about a man named Danny who loves bugs and his life. He meets the love of his life when he's in elementary school, and this fly kind of becomes a problem. So I'm curious to see where this book goes. I think I'm about 10 or 15% into the book thus far. And yeah, my plan is to finish it today and then go on to the Reynolds Restoration, because the Reynolds Restoration is a longer book. And so I want to make sure I at least get my 3 books for my 25 done this month. So that goal is done. And then I can jump into the series in case I don't finish the Reynolds Restoration, because I wouldn't read either. I wouldn't finish either of those goals. So anyways, gonna work on the Fly book today. I'm also listening to The Breath of Snow and Ash by Diane Gabaldon still. I think I'm about 55% of the way through, but it is a 57-hour audiobook. Today's the day we're just staying home until maybe the evening when we go to the grocery store. So I think I should be able to get a lot of reading done and kind of catch up, because next week I think is going to be pretty busy. Monday I don't think is, but the rest of the week I think we're going to be really busy. So I'm trying to get videos edited and uploaded for next week, or like kind of prepare, and then get less behind on Instagram posts, because I'm very behind on my Instagram for whatever reason. Hopefully by the time you see this, I'll have been caught up, because that's been my goal the last couple days. I also have a book talk that I always link down below if you want like shorter form content of similar things, because I do book reviews on there and just some random book stuff. So do I look hot? I just came inside. I read Trouble with Texas Cowboys, 50 pages outside in the sun. Now I'm gonna get some water. I finished The Blandford Fly and Other Tales by D.N. Moore, so let's talk about it. But finishing it does mean my June goal of finishing 3 books off the 25 books I want to read in 2025 was a success. But the synopsis I gave of this book was kind of accurate, but kind of not, because this book actually has 4 short stories inside of it. The first one is The Blandford Fly, which for whatever reason I have the hardest time saying. And that synopsis is very true, where it's Daniel, he likes bugs, he meets his true love in elementary school, and and this fly comes and wreaks havoc. So you get to see Daniel's life and what comes of it after this fly. The second story is at Christmas time, and it is about a boy and a doll. The boy is a servant to the dolls, and the dolls aren't very kind, and the doll ends up tricking the boy, and it's a very interesting story. All of these are a little bit dark and twisty, which I didn't realize going in. The third one's about a painting, and their painting is reality, and it takes them a little bit to figure it out and has to go through some different experiences to realize that. And the fourth one is about a radio station and some things that happens to its listeners. With the 4 stories, it was a little bit hard to rate. I will say I felt like the book went in the order. The Blandford Fly, which was the first book, was my first favorite of the 4, and then the second book, But the Doll, was my second, the Painter was the third, and the Radio Station was the fourth. I believe they also went down in length as you went on, and that is what I don't love about short stories. I like diving into characters and stories and not just getting a taste of, and that's what I feel like short stories do. Unless they're part of a bigger series, then I like them a little bit more. I read this as an ebook and I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. We are at the end of week 25, so let's go over all of the books that I'm currently in the middle of. I do have one book review to do, and that is for A Breath of Snow and Ashes by Diane Gabaldon. This is the 6th book in the Outlander series, and I'm a little bit torn on my rating. I finished it yesterday because I've been liking this series because it's a slice of life, I would call it. It takes 1,500 pages. A lot happens, nothing happens, because their slice of life looks a lot different than our slice of life would. And so there's a lot of near deaths, a lot of kidnappings, a lot of other things that aren't so great that happen, but they take it as more like that's what happens in life instead of like this big event. They know what happens in the past, and so they can kind of brace for some things. I think if I was actually eyeball reading this book, I would not like it, but because I'm audiobooking them, I enjoy them a lot more because it's just like someone's telling me about their life, obviously in the past, but telling me about their life. This audiobook was 57 hours. So it is a big commitment as well. I think I'd rather have these books be shorter but have more of them, just to kind of break it up a little bit, because 57 hours listening to one book is quite a bit. And I also think this book reads very much like a series where there's different storylines in the book, and then there's this overarching kind of theme throughout the book, but not, I don't know. That's my review. I think I'm gonna settle on 3.5 stars. So from that audiobook, I went to Cleat Cute by Meryl Wilsner, which is a lesbian soccer romance about Phoebe, who has dreamed of being a soccer star, gets called up to the national team, and is under Grace. Grace has been her idol for a very long time. However, Grace was in the big leagues when she was a lot younger, so their age difference isn't that much. I think it's a couple years. Grace is the experienced, quiet captain, and Phoebe is the non-stop talking rookie, and sparks fly almost immediately, and I am like 25% of the way through. So I think this is just gonna be a really fun, easy listen, but I needed that after my 57-hour audiobook. The ebook that I am reading is Full Throttle by Melanie Moreland. This is the 5th and final book in the Reynolds Restoration series. Today is the last day of June, and so I need to get this finished so that I can meet my series goal for the month. I am 71% of the way through, so I think I'm gonna save my review for next week. But I will say this romance is between Dom, who works at Reynolds Restoration. He's an older man, and Cherry, who is Hannah's mom from the last book. So they're both older, and I don't typically read romances like that, so this has been an interesting change. An audiobook that I was able to renew, and so I didn't listen to it because I was dealing with that 57-hour audiobook, was Raising Girls Who Like Themselves. And I will pick that up in a little bit once I kind of get my audiobook situation back under control, because that 57-hour audiobook, I know I keep saying it, really messed up my loan situation. The physical book I'm reading is by Carolyn Brown. It's The Trouble with Texas Cowboys. This is the second cowboy romance from Burnt Boot, Texas, and there is a huge rivalry, which was huge in that last book and huge in this book. Like, there are some crazy things that these two families will do, and our couple is kind of stuck in the middle. Our couple is Jill, who just moved to town and is in the middle of this feud because both sides want to date her, and then Sawyer Jill's farmhand, and they end up living in the same quarters, so they have a lot of forced proximity, but they are just trying to get themselves through this feud. And as I said, lots of crazy things have happened, and I didn't realize how influential this feud was going to be throughout this book, because it was very influential in the last book. So I don't know if that's going to be a theme for all of these books. And I am 54% of the way through. I am 42% of the way through When Godly People Do Ungodly Things by Beth Moore. I am still absolutely loving this book. It is in full chapter form, and it really talks about how people who know and follow God, which are two very distinct things, how they can like fall off the path. I think I talked about it either this week or last week, but my last year's summer was really hard, and so it's just putting some pieces together. Plus, I feel like it's setting me up for success in the future because of my knowledge I'm having now and giving me things to work on. So that's fun, but also a lot. The last two books are books I've talked about quite a bit, and it's the Gratitude Journal and the Bible. I made some progress on both of them. I'm on track with the Bible, behind in the Gratitude Journal. What's new? But that was week 25 of reading. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for week 26.